All right, guys. So this is where we're at, and Daisy's outside barking, and I'm at a point with this model I don't even care. So this is the Junior Johnson Racing 81 Chevy Monte Carlo from Salvino's JR, which I told you this is my first Salvino's. It'll be my last Salvino's, even though I have two unbuilt ones. I don't like them. Period. Don't like them. You might love them. I don't like it. It says it's an 81. It's obviously not an 81. I believe it's a 76 or a 75 car that was raced in 81 by Junior Johnson. So that's where that time comes together. And this just doesn't make sense. So, I mean, a lot of the parts in here, and then I went online and a lot of people were telling me, oh, well, you have to really like them. And yeah, this is probably one of their worst ones because it was their first body and stuff and things don't fit right and yada, 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 yada. And that has been true. And I just been trying to build this since June of last year. So it's been like, well, it's like been 7 months. So today is the actual Daytona 500. So I'm like, you know what? I'm finishing this model. So it'll either finish looking like a nice stock car, or, and this is more likely the case, I will build this car and then just make it as if it's a stock car out in the field and make a little diorama of an old stock car that's just rusted out sitting in a field. Because I have extra parts from other things, like I have things like this, which are like the brake calipers and stuff that I could put on here instead of the wheels. I can just stick some brake calipers and stuff on here from my parts box and just make this an old race car that's just sitting out in a field. So I'm going to try it, building it the correct way. If there is a correct way for things that don't tell you how to build shit. And if it doesn't work out by the end of today, I can guarantee you this car will be done being built. Whether it's a stock car model or a stock car with flat tires and rust all over the place that's sitting in a field, we'll find that out as I go along. Depends on how, but I have to get this out of my system. I can't stand this car. I can't stand this model. And it's really disappointing because I really like these Monte Carlos. I really like this time period of racing, which was the 70s and 80s for NASCAR. I thought this would be great to put in the collection, but we'll see. So anyway, I will come back in a little while. First thing I gotta do is glue some of these big parts together, and this is not going to be a long video. This is going to be one that's semi just, here I am here I am an hour from now, here I am an hour from now, here we are done. Something like that. All right, see you shortly. All right, guys, so trying to decipher that for this kit here, trying to decipher how to put this rear end together. So far, we have this A-frame cross member here. I'm thinking this is some kind of a sway bar. So the first thing I did was I laid this here, and it shows that these two airbags, which at the bottom grip the frame, and at the top they have little nubs that go into two holes. So I put those in and laid them onto the frame. I didn't glue the frame. I just glued them to this A member here. And the A member has a spot for these two round, at the top it's round, so it's got to fit there. And by doing that, then these two pieces here, they fit into a specific hole that's in the frame. It's not really cut for anything, but it's there. So then I took this piece, which is number 30, I believe. Like I said, it's really hard to tell the numbers on this particular kit. And then this rod connects right there, and then this piece lays on the frame. So I have that done. We put together the 4 pieces for the axle. When you put these together, you need to be aware of the 2 connections at the top, because they need to be pointing up like this, and when these are laying on the top, the 2 axle connections there, then the spine for this piece here, which is going to go to the drive shaft, is going to be at the top position, the same as the 2 squares mounts, and it will be pointing that way. So you want to hold it up here and make sure it's like that. Now, there's these 2 pieces here which I had painted green. They're number 28, and they are plates that hold the dual shocks on either side. Now, it's showing that only one shock. No, it's got to be both. So I think there's a hole there, and I think there's a hole on this side, and that must be where the 2 shocks go. One in each hole on either side of that cross member there. But we'll figure that out in a little bit. I have to do this 1 piece at a time, let it sit, and let it dry. And then we have this piece here, which I believe is the cross member. This piece here is the cross member that sits on top of, or actually it sits underneath, but when you're building it upside down, it's going to sit on top of the axle. So the axle is going to sit like this. I think the axle sits there. That's how it looks. And then that other piece sits on top of it. What do you guys think? I mean, I'm thinking that's how it goes. As I said, they only show this once after here, and that's part number 3, and then they show it again down here on 19, and they show it at 16, but they don't show that cross member. They don't show the cross member. And that's what I'm saying. It's like they confuse the hell out of you. They don't put in things that should be there. So I don't know where that cross member goes because it's not showing. It's not showing there either. So I'm not really sure. Anyway, I'm just going to do what I can do. All right. So I have this drawing with the axle, which will end up upside down, flipped over underneath, because that's the only way I can think that that would actually go. And that fits the picture here. It also shows these 4 shocks, which I just glued into the holes there, which it shows. And then those plates will go on top of the shocks after the axle slides on. So we're just going to let all this dry and hope that I did it correctly. So I put those 4 shocks in there, and then we mounted the axle, and I believe, like I said, I think this is a sway bar right there in the back. And the only thing I'm not putting in here so far, the only thing that we're missing to put in is those two pieces number 28, which go on top of the shocks, and 31, these spacers, which don't show where the hell they go. There's two on that side, and oh, I see. They say those two spacers go on top of the axle, and then this bar here goes on top of the spacers. So that will be the next two pieces that we need to put on here. Okay, so that's where we're at. All right, so right now I just painted the shock tower, or the shocks, yellow like they're Monroe shocks. That's one of the crossbars, and here is the rest of the springs are going to be yellow. It was a rear torsion bar, whatever it is. All this stuff is painted black. It's going to go on here. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do yet with this kit. I may finish it. I may make it a old race car sitting out in the grass someplace. I'm not really sure. I know in the previous video I was just going to stick it back in the box, but a lot of the comments, because we had almost 1,000 people respond in the first couple hours, and a lot of the comments said to go ahead and just keep building it. Everybody knows it's a crappy kit, so we're just going to keep building it, doing the best we can, ignoring the fact that it still has a lot of other parts here that aren't used, that they don't tell you aren't used, and that the directions are really sketchy. But we'll keep building it, and we'll see where we end up with it. I'm guessing, guys, that this is what it looks is supposed to be. I don't know. Now let me put that back on. I just glued it. It just came off. Alright guys, this is the rear, and I really don't think it's supposed to look that way, but that's the only way I really can do it. I think it's the only way the parts fit, with a springs back there, springs, double shocks, and then this is part of the front suspension right here. So we're starting to put that together. We're painting all the pieces. All right, guys, this is part 40 and part 41, and just following this through there. When you put them in, and I painted the shocks yellow and the arms red, they actually, if you look here, they go through the top, probably to a shock tower of some kind, I'm thinking. So we're going to glue those two pieces on first. So after we painted them, so we're going to put those on. All right, right here, you'll see the pin, and this is part 36. Pin is 54. They're going to go together like this. And then when we put them on, if you see here, the pin's going to face up on one side. It's going to get this connecting rod right there, tie rod right there. And the tie rod will go across, so we're going to put both these in. Then we're going to put the tie rod across. All right, as you can see, the orange is the tie rod, and we have everything in here. And the tie rod seems to be a little bit short, but that's okay. Just make sure that your hubs on either side are like at 90 degrees, so you can, that's why it's good to have like one of these mats. You can stick it here. Just make sure that they are at 90, which they are. They're as close as they're going to get. And so now we're just going to lay this here and let it dry for about 6 hours. Because I like tube glue, but tube glue I think works the best over the long term of keeping stuff together. But it does take some dry time. So we're just going to leave that like that for now, and that should work. This is 112 left, 112 right, 113 and 113. We've painted them black, did a little detail work on the metal fitting there. And then this will go on top right here, and we'll do that shortly. One of the other things you have to do is, this is part 37, and it's on this with some of the other pieces of the roll cage. This whole piece here is part of 37. The piece that goes here, it's just a little piece here, you have to cut there, and then we'll glue this piece as the cross member there. So this would have all this other front suspension on it, but you just cut it off, and I just used my Sharpie, my silver Sharpie there, and then I'll put it across there. Right now, I think we have the whole front suspension done with the reinforced cage there for the engine. The engine's next thing to be mounted on there. So we got tie rods and everything are in there. So that looks okay. And then we just built the outside of the bird cage here. We still have to put the excuse me, we still have to put the dashboard in, the seats and stuff. I don't like putting that in before I build at least the exterior of the bird cage, because it's just easier when it's empty. And we are finished with the rear suspension, I think. I mean, I could be 100% wrong, I don't know. There's the fuel cell with the plate on the top for the fillers, and the wheels are done, getting those ready to go in. The steering column I'll put in, but we have these pieces that are go across the back. We'll do that tomorrow, and the engine can go in, but I don't know. Like I said, I may just build the frame, the whole frame out, and just leave that as the model. Just do the frame without an engine and with the body sitting next to it or something. I'm not sure. Just because I don't know if the way this has to be built, I don't know if it'll fit inside there. And if you look at the wheels of the actual race car, the fenders are all pulled out. They're French, what's called French rolled. So they're banged out to let the tires in. But when they did the body here, they just took the body of a regular 73 through 77, 76 Monte Carlo. So I don't know if it'll fit. Anyway, so that's where we're at. We're going to let this all dry for the night, and we'll come back in the morning. Alright, just giving you guys a quick heads up. I just glued the back to the front using the second hole, like the instructions say. There's 4 holes because they use a universal floor plan. So that's in there, seats in there, dashboard is in there, and we're using a white paint pen and Sharpies. I made the dashboard because they don't have any decals. I put the engine in, I put the seat in. We have the front bumper, grille, and fascia is gluing there. Back bumper bumper spoiler and fascia is gluing there, and now it's just letting this stuff set for an hour or two and then come back and work on some more. All right, so while we're sitting here waiting for the Daytona 500 to start, as you can see, we've done some good stuff to the body. We put the glass in. We used our Sharpie to on the glass etchings to put the safety bars in the glass. We used our Mod Podge right here to put the glass in. We then glued our front grille, bumper, and front fascia together. Let it dry, and then we glued it onto the body. Same with the rear. And we went ahead and used our white paint pens to extend the white paint where it needed to be extended to clean that all up. So we put in our window net over there. We put the engine in. We glued that together. We're just leaving this all now going to dry for a couple hours. We also, this was chrome, and that is not chrome on a real one. They're aluminum. So we used our silver Sharpie pen to make the tail spoiler aluminum instead of the chrome. All right, so everything is going to dry for a while. We're going to enjoy the Daytona 500, and we'll come back to this when it's over. This moment, as you can see, I painted the roll cage green with craft paint. I don't know if it was green in the real one. I'm looking at it. It could be black, could be green, and this one's going to be green. I got to put in the got to put the fire extinguisher in there. I'm going to put the shifter in there, and then I'm going to build the rest of the roll cage. Right now we're on a rain delay for the Daytona 500. We've got the body together, and we used our white paint pen and everything to clean that up. The engine's in here. We put the engine in. We put the radiator in. So we glued this together. So we're getting there. Hey guys, we're still in a rain delay for the real Daytona 500 here, 2025. We've managed to get the interior pretty much done. As you can see, we used craft paint. We painted and built the rest of the cage. We added the interior. We did the dashboard. We did the steering wheel. We did the shifter. We did the seats. We did the fire suppression system. We filled this in the back. Obviously, as you can see, that these right here don't fit where they're supposed to, which everybody who owns these kits keeps telling me that's pretty normal for a JR, whatever, JR Puffin stuff or whatever this thing is. So they don't have a lot of directions. They don't even tell you which bumper to use. They don't use numbers for some reason. It's just a mess. But we're getting there. I painted this green because it's my model. I feel like painting it green. So we're at a point now where we put the glass in the windows. We put the front and the back in on the body. So we're just really right now waiting for this cage to dry. Then we're going to put this in the body. And then we will put the exhaust system on underneath. And then we will put the tires and wheels on. Now, we did, let me show you. In the front here, we did the box for the radiator box. Now, there is these two pieces here that are supposed to fit on the front into the radiator, okay? However, here's the fun part with this manufacturer. Since they seem to use the same parts no matter what the body is, you have to trim that all yourself. And since I don't really feel like being a junior NASCAR crew chief, some of you guys do, but I don't really feel like doing that. And I don't feel like having to sit here and measure and cut things and just completely get even more frustrated than what I was. I'm at the point where, like I said this morning, this is the third video of this particular model, and I'm getting it done today. So I'm not going to be customizing the parts that they need customizing. You know what? If that piece don't fit, I'm just not even putting it on there. This kit is a pain in the, yeah. So I'm hoping that the wheels fit where they're supposed to, because with this unibody, who knows if they'll even fit in the wheel wells. You know what I mean? And if that's the case, then we're just going to put some brakes on here and stick it in the weeds and make a old race car stuck out in the field video or model. All right, well, we put the body on, and it seems, but I don't know yet. We'll figure it out here to see if this is even where it's supposed to be. So this goes in here. Let's put this metal axle in. Let me see if I can get this in here without breaking the suspension off. That would be plus. Okay, so it doesn't want to go through that side. And why is that? Well, because this side seems to have closed up. So what do we do there? Well, there's a couple things we can do, but we'll have to figure it out. Let's see how the front wheels fit. Okay, so it needs the spacers to go out there because it says it has spacers. But let's see. Well, those are up and inside the way they should be, I guess. All right, well, I'll have to figure something out for that. And maybe spacers on this side. Like I said, it's not, these things are just terrible. I mean, look at the gap. You know, it's like, what's the point of doing all this little stuff if you flip it over, there's a giant gap because of the way the body is, because you're trying to be on the cheap and, you know, use the same thing here for everything. I don't know. All right, I'll figure it out. We'll come back once we have the axles in and the wheels on. All right, everybody, so just as I feared, the rear end, when you build it, for whatever, I don't even know. I'm so tired of this thing, but this side is jacked up. This side is not. I don't even have the front wheels done yet, so we're gonna let this sit here. Then we'll do the front wheels, and then we'll probably just treat this like it was an old retired race car out in the weeds. So I'll put all the decals on it, and then we'll just rust it up and bang it up. All right, I'll see you when I have all the wheels on. Well, while I am watching the Daytona 500, we are gluing these wheels on because they're just a pain in the ass. So we're just gluing one at a time. We're on our last wheel and tire combination, and then we can start putting, we can build underneath. We could put the air flow in there, the air box, whatever, and then after that we can start putting decals on this Monte Carlo. All right, fellas. Okay, so here is the J.R. Salvino's Monte Carlo. It's looks like it's one of the first models I've ever made in my entire life, like I was 7, because it is that terrible of a model kit. The body doesn't fit, the back doesn't fit, the wheels don't fit, the under the hood doesn't fit. Had to take off the air cleaner and the carburetor, and I couldn't put the some of the pieces that would go with a stock car under the hood, because if you do, it doesn't fit. There's gaps everywhere. If you look inside, you can see that there is a gap between the body, because they just use this universal floor that is like a, I don't understand that. It's like some of the car they make super detailed, and then the whole chassis they make to fit any of their model kits to be cheap. So not really sure on that deal. It looks like it's supposed to be nice, but not a fan. Anyway, the suspension doesn't fit in the back. It's too high, so you have to mess with that on either side. They don't even make the body with the flared wheel wells so that the front wheels don't fit right. But at the end of the day, we're going to put some of the decals on here. I hope the decals work. That would be nice. And then at least it'll be a nice looking kit on the shelf, but is absolutely not a kit I would recommend to anybody. It's just that bad. Fit is bad, but I needed a 2nd gen Monte Carlo for my collection, and this is the only one I found. I'm sure there's another one out there, and it is Daytona 500. It's actually the Monday after Daytona 500 now, and after 7 months of putting it together, putting it away, putting it together, putting it away, it's finally done. So that's about all I can say, and we'll see what it looks like after I put on all the decals. So one of the hardest things with this car is going to be putting these little stripes that go everywhere, but the nice thing is that they do run the body line. I put all the other decals on first before running the stripes, so I kind of suggest you do that. And then of course I'm going to probably have to touch up here so that it kind of goes along with the stripe. Alright guys, so we're done with all the decals and stuff, so we're just going to put pledge on here. And I've shown you this before many times. So all you do is you just take the Revive It pledge and you put it over everything, and it will be fine. So you don't have to worry about it getting on the plastic or the tires or the decals. It's a sealed wax, and that's what makes everything shiny. That's why you see people doing this before contests and everything else. So you'll see the car when it's done. I just wanted to show you the pledge Revive It is what everybody uses. So you'll see it when it's done. Alright guys, so finally I got this like June of 2024. It's now February 17th of 2025. I finally got this done, this Salvino's JR model, Junior Johnson Racing, Darrel Waltrip driving, 1981 Chevy Monte Carlo, done. It's just a pain, and things don't fit. Now at the end of the day, hopefully using 40 years worth of building models and a parts box for the suspension, because the rear suspension doesn't work right, the front suspension wasn't really great, the body does not fit onto the frame because they use a generic frame, the engine doesn't fit underneath the hood because they use a generic frame with this body, the rear pieces don't connect, the rear body parts are not, you know, they don't fit really well. I will tell you, the decals, which, be honest with you, I wasn't, by the time decals came, I was just like, yeah, whatever. The decals were actually pretty good, and painting the green on here, now following their directions exactly kind of causes an issue. There's some things you need to make sure you paint the back green all the way across. This is not chrome, this should be silver. The wheels and everything, the way they fit is just kind of funky, so you gotta, like, I basically made sure the front suspension fit, but the back suspension I almost had to make from a parts box to make it sit even close, and it's still not even close, but pretty close to a NASCAR car. Because if not, it sat up like you might as well put some M50s and drive this down a drag strip. It did not tell you which front end to use, whether the round lights or the double square lights. I used the double square lights because I went and looked up what this one had. Hood fits really well, unless you put a carburetor on, unless you put the air cleaner on, unless you put all the stuff that goes under here to make the air box, then it doesn't fit. So I had to take the carburetor off, the air cleaner off, the air box off, just to make the hood fit correctly on here. And let me show you underneath. As you can see, there's a lot of space between the body. This body's not even glued on. It's actually on because it fits so tightly over the roll cage that the roll cage actually holds it on without any glue. That being said, putting the roll cage on without any glue, it's so tight that you can't really take it off once you have it on there, so you can't test fit. I do like the Goodyear. I like the tires. They're nice, you know, Goodyear tires, and I like that they gave you the Goodyear decals for them. I like the fact that I painted the rims, and the exhaust came out good. The interior does not really fit through any of the holes, so you kind of just have to do it yourself. And because right where it connects there are 4 pinholes and 1 pin, and this one it says use the second pinhole. Well, the second pinhole lines the front up with the fenders, but it doesn't line the back up. And I don't know I'm hoping, somebody said this was their first kit and this is how they did this, but honestly, I have another kit. I have one of the 1985 Budweiser cars. I'll open it up to see if it's built the same, but I can tell you if the floor is built the same, the chassis is the same, I really don't want to build that one either. But at the end of the day, other than these big gaps here, that unless I fill them with putty, and I built this from the box, I did not, other than the rear wheels connecting by using some parts from my spare box just to be able to fit these underneath and connect them to an axle, because the steel rod axle did not go all the way through. Other than that, this is pretty much made from the box. It looks good. It's a nice 10-foot model, so it looks good from 10 feet away. I'll like it on my shelf because it is what it is. It's a Monte Carlo from the 70s, and it's a race car, and it's a Darrel Waltrip car. I mean, it's a pretty historic car, but yeah, I could not recommend this kit at all. You know, I would tell people stay away from it. That's pretty much the only thing I got, is stay away from this kit if you can. If there's another Monte Carlo out there that is not made by Salvino's, maybe Mobius has one, maybe Revell, maybe AMT, MPC, I don't know who has another race car for this generation, second generation Monte Carlo. I would go with that. But anyway, that's my opinion. This is the build. And if you want to see the first 2 parts of this build, they're somewhere on the channel. This was the final part of the build. And as I said, not real happy with it whatsoever. At the end of the day, it'll look good from 10 feet away on the shelf, but obviously lift the hood off, you can see the motor's got nothing but a manifold on it. Pretty sucks. Anyway, there you go. So that's Model Monday for today. President's Day 2025, the day after the Daytona 500, and we built us a race car. All right, guys, thanks. If you want to comment below, if you're a Salvagno's Junior Models or JR Salvagno's model fan, let me know. Let me know why you're a fan of this car, of this, the way they put this together. If you built one of these, go to my Facebook page, which is Junkyards and Barn Find with Sean, and you'll see I have a page there. Happy to, and you'll see this up on some of the model Facebooks, the club or groups that I'm a part of. Like my group has mine, but I'm in a bunch of different modeling groups. So we're also on Rumble, so you might be watching this on Rumble. But if you built this and you had no problems, let me know. Or if you built this and you overcame some problems, let me know. I just, unless somebody really can convince me, I don't know why this model kit is worth building. And if you guys haven't seen, I mean, I've built over 1,000 models in my lifetime. We've posted hundreds on my channels, the 2 channels that I have, 3 channels, if you know, the 2 channels on YouTube and my channel on Rumble. So anyway, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think on my opinion if you want, and I will talk to you next time.